billion years into the future. Here's what you'll see. If you could travel forward in time by 10,000 years, what do you think the appearance of the planet Earth will be like then? The majority of its surface, if not all of it, might be covered by volcanic activity. Alternately, would it be possible to keep it fresh if it were frozen in ice? If you traveled even further into the future, to 1 million years from now, what do you think will happen? What would have transpired in the event that all of the water on Earth have evaporated? Or perhaps, you would have come together to form a single gigantic oceanic globe. Then how about a billion centuries from now? Were you intending to have anyone else with you after this? Or it's possible that they would have preferred to establish your community in some of the other part of the galaxy. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel before we tell you what you see and do in a billion years. We have seen firsthand how challenging it is for us to work together in order to avoid a pandemic on a scale that affects the entire planet. How then can we have any prospect of surviving the risks that are posed by things like climate change, overpopulation, global nuclear war, potentially destructive asteroids and comets, natural ice ages, and the sun being much hotter? Let's take a look into the future, because it's the most effective approach to learn the answer. So let's do that. 10,000 years. We shall encounter a huge obstacle that is now being referred to as a decamillennium bug, in a time frame that is less than 10,000 years in the future from now. Computer applications that encode the AD calendar will no longer be able to encode dates with more than 4 decimals after the year 10,000 AD. Remember Y2K? Yeah, it's just like that. Aside from that, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that we won't be in quite as much of a state of fear as we were before. When humans have been around for another 10,000 years, that is, parodies in their appearance and behavior that are dependent on their genes will no longer be localized. This will take place because humans will have a much larger gene pool, personal attributes such as the shade of one's skin hair, and will be distributed in an identical manner over the entire world. 20,000 years. It's possible that this will, at long last, make it less difficult for us to get along with one another. Within the next 20,000 years, no one on the planet will be able to understand any of the languages that are currently in use. The fundamental vocabularies of the languages that will exist in the next millennium will contain only 1% as many words as their equivalents in the present day. 50,000 years. In the 50,000 years from now, the Earth will enter a new glacial period, which will mark the beginning of the commencement of a new ice age. This glacial period will last for around 100,000 years. As a direct consequence of the erosion, the entirety of Niagara Falls will have been absorbed by Lake Erie. As of now, the length of the whole day on Earth will also increase by 1 second, which is a fascinating development that is connected to the previous statement. Wow, that's a huge chunk of additional time that may be put toward other pursuits. 250,000 years. In another 250,000 years, the Al-Ihi volcano in Hawaii will erupt, causing a new island to emerge above the water's surface. If we are unable to stop it, it is likely that an asteroid with a diameter of more than 1 kilometer, or 0.62 miles, will strike the Earth in 500,000 years. The resulting crater will have a diameter of at least 400 kilometers, or 248 miles. It will cause fires all over the world and render the atmosphere unbreathable in the process. Therefore, there is something exciting in the store for you. After addition to that, in 1 million years, there will probably be another supervolcano eruption that is large enough to blow out 3,200 cubic kilometers or 720 cubic miles of ash. This will happen in case the previous event was insufficient. The amount of lava produced by it would be sufficient to fill 75% of the Grand Canyon. These would be comparable to the Toba eruption that occurred 70,000 years ago and came dangerously close to wiping out humanity. Betelgeuse, a star that is relatively close to Earth, will have undergone a supernova explosion by this point, making it possible to see it from the Earth even during the daytime. 2 million years. By the year 2 million after the present, mankind will have built colonies everywhere around the solar system. This will have occurred by the time. This also lends credence to the idea that if populations on different planets have remained distinct from one another, humans might have eventually evolved into other species that were more suited to their respective worlds. 10 million years. Within the next 10 million years, a significant portion of Eastern Africa will disintegrate, resulting in the formation of a brand new ocean basin. In another 50 million years, Africa and Eurasia will come into collision with one another, which will result in the blockage of the Mediterranean Sea and the formation of new mountain range between the two land masses. There is a possibility that this mountain range contains peaks that are even higher than Mount Everest. Mars will eventually have a head-on collision with its moon, which will result in the planet acquiring a ring system similar to Saturn's. In another 60 million years, both the American and Canadian Rockies will have been completely worn away. Around 80 million years from now, the entire Hawaiian archipelago will be submerged in water. 100 million years. In 100 million years, it seems likely that Earth will be struck by an asteroid comparable to the one that ended the reign of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. One that has a width of 10 kilometers, or 6.2 miles. In another 250 million years, all of the Earth's continents will come together to form a supercontinent that will be dubbed Pangaea Ultima. This supercontinent will form in the same way that Pangaea did. Pangaea Ultima is expected to break up again in around 400 to 500 million years, so try not to become too attached to it in the meanwhile. It is likely that a gamma-ray burst will occur within 6,500 light-years of Earth between 560 million years from now. If it were to hit the planet, it will cause the ozone layer to be damaged, which would lead to widespread extinction. 600 million years. After another 600 million years, the Moon will have moved so far away from the Earth that it will no longer be possible for total solar eclipses to occur. This will happen because the Moon will have reached its farthest conceivable distance from Earth. Temperatures on Earth will have climbed to such an extent as to potentially help the movement of plate tectonics as a result of the growing brilliance of the Sun. 800 million years. After roughly another 800 million years, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will have decreased to the point that photosynthesis will no longer be viable. The removal of free oxygen O2 and ozone O3 from the atmosphere will lead to the demise of complex life on Earth and will bring out the end of the human era. 1 billion years. After 1 billion years, the light coming from the Sun will have increased by 10%, and the average temperature on Earth will be 47 degrees Celsius. This is the last but not the least of the predictions, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. The environment around us will have the feel of a steamy greenhouse. In addition, our oceans will become largely desiccated, with the exception of a few scattered pockets of water located at each of the Earth's poles. You should mentally prepare yourself to witness a version of planet Earth that is substantially different from the one you remember seeing when you reach in this position in your time machine. When you get there, you will be in this location in your time machine. The human race will eventually become extinct, but before that happens, we can only hope that it lived out its days to the fullest on some other world. Because of the high heat, the lack of potable water, and the absence of oxygen-rich air, it will no longer be possible to survive on Earth. As a result, you shouldn't stay for an excessively long period of time. Alter your route so that you could go through the rest of the solar system rather than continuing in the same direction. When you travel 1 billion years in the future, the likelihood of there being any people left on the planet to meet you is, let's be honest, quite slim. The human race is confronted with a number of significant existential dangers. And if you want to be around in 1 billion years, we will have to persevere through all of them. Would you like to see and experience the future in billion years? If you enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.